Welcome to Business Success Tips, where you learn to make more money in less time and have more fun. And I'm the founder of Contractor Staffing Source, Paul Sanneman, your host. We help contractors build great teams. I have as my guest today, Matt Calvano from Adaptive. I'm not exactly sure what Adaptive does, but by the end of this podcast, we're all going to figure that out. All right.
All right.
I mean, for some reason, somebody gave a bunch of money, so they must have a lot of faith in what you're doing. So tell me, what does Adaptive do?
So yeah, Paul, thanks for having me on. Good to meet you at IBS here. Glad we could make this happen. So Adaptive. All right. Adaptive is an automated financial management platform built specifically for construction. Okay. The key word is automated. All right. If I take a step back and, talk about the problem we observed when we started this business, we're a startup. So we started a couple years ago. It was that if you look at the average construction business, there is a pretty extreme demand when it comes to managing financials, right? Cash flow. People are talking about cash flow all the time in construction. How do you manage your cash flow? Stay on top of the books. But these, maybe you help with this. These teams often don't have financial expertise or construction finance expertise on their teams. And then making it worse, the technology that's designed to help with financials is quite manual. So you find that either construction businesses fall in one of two buckets. Either first bucket, they're not really paying attention to their financials, and that's a problem in and of itself. Second bucket, they are, but they're spending way too much time to keep their financials updated, right? So it's either the owner themselves that is doing a lot of the bookkeeping, or someone in their office who is spending a lot of time reconciling credit cards, job costing the receipts, chasing the PMs for approval, trying to figure out the right code. Maybe they have their budget open in some sort of software or Excel separately, and then they have a PDF invoice in their email and they're checking against the budget, manually entering things into their accounting software, preparing draws, especially if their cost plus takes hours, if not days per month. Okay. So basically the problem is these customers are spending so much time updating information when really they should be spending time analyzing the information, understanding what's going on in their business. That's the problem that we are set out to solve. So we have a full financial management product. You can manage budgets. You can automate the coding of your receipts, automate the coding of your bills. You can create draws in a few clicks. We have vendor compliance in the platform, electronic payments. It's a full financial management platform, but the key difference is we use a lot of artificial intelligence, a lot of intuitive design, and a lot of rules to automate a lot of the processes.
Yeah. Now, I've been in this industry for a long time, 40 years. It seems to me that there's a lot of products out there, like their Builder Trend, Co-Construct, Procore. There's a lot of we actually call them web-based project management systems. And a lot of those claim to have a decent CRM, and very few of them do. And the other also, a lot of them have to have some kind of financial management. They usually tie into QuickBooks or QuickBooks Online. So how do you differ from, Builder Trend? Some of those are people that claim they already do this.
Yeah. So actually, you defined it quite well, like project management. I think that, Builder Trend, Procore, et cetera, they generally pretty good at project management. The gap we saw was not in project management. It was in the financials. So a lot of our customers actually use some sort of project management software alongside of Adaptive, and then they use us for the financial management. Okay. So it's generally how we see the customer set it up. Our product also works very well with QuickBooks. So it's a full two-way integration with QuickBooks. And the way you can think about our product is it's basically addressing the problem of getting information into QuickBooks and then getting reports back out of it, right? If you think about QuickBooks, Builder Trend, et cetera, the products are designed almost as a database style, where a lot of the value is if you have the time to enter all the information into it. So let's think about a bill, right? Let's think about a bill, for example, an invoice you get from a subcontractor. That's going to arrive in your email, right? So you're getting a bunch of those in your email all day long. What are you doing with those bills as they show up?
Well, some of the clients claim, I don't know if it's true or not, that JobTrader, Builder, they quote integrate with QuickBooks or QuickBooks Online. What does that actually mean versus what you do?
So we shouldn't mix up the integration with the automation piece. An integration is simply if I enter something into project management software, right? If I enter it into my project management software, will it also show up in QuickBooks?
Right.
Okay. That's the integration. regardless, you're having to like enter the information somewhere. Okay. And if you think about the challenge of job costing, it's not having like a budget is not that complicated, right? Let's think about a budget. It's just like 5, 6, 7 columns on a budget, depending on what you want to look at: contract price, cost budget, spent to date, drawn to date. Maybe you want to look at some sort of WIP. It's not that complicated. What makes this challenging is that construction companies are working on multiple projects at once with a bunch of different vendors, making a ton of purchases. So they have tons and tons of daily transactions that are occurring. If those are not coded, right? If those aren't coded correctly, then all the information in the budget's going to be wrong. And why are those things not often coded? Because it takes a lot of time to code the information.
So what's the difference between integration and what you do?
So integration is not, so integration is just a way for two systems to speak to each other.
Right, because if you enter, you know, apparently like the project management system, whether it's Buildertrend or JobCode, whatever, they say they integrate. That means when you put something into their project managed system, like a payroll cost or a job cost, it will post it also in QuickBooks, right? That's integration.
Yeah. So an integration in and of itself saves time in terms of removing double entry. But the problem we're addressing here is not like eliminating the like back end integration between systems or eliminating that part of the process, right? That's pretty straightforward. What I'm talking about is like building a system so that your team doesn't really have to worry about spending so much time coding everything, staying on top of everything, right? Because that's the problem. I think that's what maybe the piece to really focus on when you're asking the difference is like, everyone wants real-time financials. How do you get real-time financials? How do you get real-time financials in your business, right?
We have to know basically all the money you spent that day, all the money you made that day, include WIP, and come up with the daily P&L, some kind.
Yes. And that is the sum total of a bunch of individual entries in your business, right? Maybe your business is a little bit simpler than a construction company.
Right.
Construction company, you have to allocate everything not only to a specific project, but to a specific line item in the budget. And oftentimes,
because you got payroll, you got all the stuff they bought at Home Depot, you got what they bill their suppliers, you've got back orders. I mean, it's a sort of a complicated mess to figure out where you actually are.
Yes. And then it's the most common thing in the world that someone picks the wrong cost code and then suddenly the budget looks, way off, or someone didn't enter something. It's still sitting in their email, or maybe they just wrote a check directly and never actually logged in their accounting system. So everything gets out of whack and then no one trusts the numbers anyways. And then they're like, okay, well, hopefully I'll just, have more money in the bank account at the end of the day than I did when I started. Right. So I would say this is the fundamental problem. And right now is an interesting time to solve it because of all this stuff with generative AI, right? Like these types of systems are quite good with understanding nuance, understanding context. So we can do things like in our system all the way it works is an example. Like, there's a lot we do in our product, but let's talk about entering a bill in Adaptive. You just forward the bill to our system. All right. So you literally get it in your email, forward it. You don't have to deal with it. Goes to our system. We'll read all the information off the invoice. And then the interesting piece is that you can like finish the final pieces of the puzzle, right? We can read the job off of the invoice. We'll know which job it goes to and just assign it automatically. We then have
so you're basically an AI cost accountant.
AI cost accounting so that you can have real-time financial reporting, real-time visibility into your cash flow, et cetera, right? This is the end goal. Like, let's not forget the end goal. The end goal is not to just like enter things into software. It's so that you understand what's going on in your business. But yes, we are very focused on, I think our hypothesis is the reason a lot of these companies don't have great visibility into this is because it's such a time suck to stay on top of it and everyone's resource constraints. How do you make that super easy? Real time. All right. So yeah.
So what you're saying is you can use AI to code all the bills, figure out where they go, assign them to the right project, and make sure that this bill at Home Depot goes to this project, this bill from Home Depot goes to this labor bill goes here. And instead of, because I know cost coding is a pain in the butt, because guys have to talk to the project manager, and the project manager literally has to look at all the bills and figure out what project it goes to.
Exactly. Yeah. Our system, it's forwarded in. We know what project it is. Based on prior rules that were set up, we know which project manager is working on that project. Bill gets automatically sent to project manager on their phone from the job site. They can see a picture of the bill with the pre-guessed coding. They can see how much is left in the budget, right in one click, click approve, done. It's just a way faster process, right? When you cut that time out, obviously you're saving time in terms of labor costs, but then you're also getting real-time information, right? So
It
now
seems
you
to me
might,
also you can bill faster too, because you're not waiting for the, I mean, lots of times I've seen what happens is they can't bill until the project manager figures out what they spent. And that he takes a week to figure out what they spent. Then they do that. And so they're behind in their billing 2 to 3 weeks, which can be expensive.
it's super expensive if you think about the like cost of basically fronting this cash to your subs. Because yeah, your sub sends you an invoice 2 weeks ago. You don't get around to coding it 2 weeks later. Now you know you've spent enough. You need to create an invoice, but at that point, the sub's knocking on your door asking for the money. So then you end up being the bank on the project, and you're paying out the sub and hoping your customer pays you back in time, right? So
Right.
this is the importance of the real-time nature of it. So the real-time coding then unlocks all this other stuff that's really important.
Okay. Well, it sounds like AI is is basically a way of doing all the stuff you're doing manually. Usually it's the project manager, the office manager, sometimes the owner actually, who figures out, because there's so many bills coming in, even though they have like project manager software, they're not sure which bills go to which job. Maybe they can connect labor because there's labor costs and labor codes, but usually the codes are all screwed up and they're not sure which bills go to which job. And somebody has to look at every bill that knows what's going on and figure it out, right?
Yes, yes, 100%, 100%. That's the other piece of it, right? Is there's basically collaboration required around all these transactions. So how do you
Mhm.
actually streamline that piece as well? And that's something we focus on. When I told you about the rules you can create in our project, in our product. So you can say, this person's working on that project. If you have an ad hoc question, you can tag them in a comment. They can respond directly. They get an alert on their phone.
So what you're saying, AI is smart enough to send all the bills, the invoice, all that kind of stuff in there. They'll figure out where it goes, do the bills, do the invoices, do whatever you need to do, and come up with real-time financials out of all that information.
Yes, 100%. Yes. And basically, if you think about the experience, right? Like no longer is someone having to code everything. They're just having to confirm what we've determined to be the case, right? What we've determined to be the project, what we've determined to be the cost code. That's what we're working
So
on.
the project manager, rather than figuring out, has to just go, yes, 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 as opposed to figuring out where it goes.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. Which saves an enormous amount of time, gives you the real-time information. And I think it's pretty exciting, this application, because there's a lot more we can do with this, right? Now you have all the cost data you can think about in the not too distant future. We should be able to generate very accurate like estimates and bids, for example, when they're creating a new.
So what you're saying is the question I always ask, this comes up, I've been doing this for 40 years. I would say, I use the example, maybe a bad one, but the restaurant example, like Mamma Mia's Pizza on the corner has no idea whether she made or lost money until 6 months after she's tried to figure it out, or he tried to figure it out, right? Whereas Taco Bell knows labor costs literally every 2 hours in every Taco Bell in the country. Costco, the reason they count the people that come in, because they adjust their labor every 3 to 4 hours on who needs to be there, given the amount of people in the store, which
Yep.
allows them to run on narrower margins. But unfortunately, most contractors don't have a clue on whether they made money or not this week. They sort of, it's all retro. Well, I guess we made money on that job after it's done, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was the thing we heard back when we started this company. And you're asking builders what their biggest problems are there. I never know what my profit is on a job until it's completed.
Right.
And then it's a little too late.
In this way, you can adjust, like on this job, I'm above or below budget this much. Then you can put in change orders and other kinds of stuff that you need to do to compensate for the mistakes that people have made, as opposed to afterwards going, oh my God, we forgot to bill for this and this, and the client already paid us the money. How do we get the money, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you wait until the end of the project to really understand what you spent, just think about the like psychological hurdle of letting your client know you forgot to let them know about 100 grand worth of costs. It would have been way more digestible if instead you had shown them over 10 months that it was 10K each month of overages,
Okay.
not 100K at the end.
Now I'm going to diverge for a second, because there's a big debate going on in the financial community right now, and it's the whole QuickBooks Online versus QuickBooks Desktop. There's
Mm-hmm.
this this is the 2 points I've seen, and maybe you can help me out here. Some people say QuickBooks Online is going to happen whether you like it or don't like it. QuickBooks is going to not supporting QuickBooks Desktop. It doesn't want to go there. It's into a SaaS model, and you're just going to have to deal with it. The other thing is there's 5 million people on QuickBooks desktop and they're not going to move. Do you have any comment on that?
This is the talk of the town, QBD versus QBO, you know.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, you said it. I think QBD is still a significant portion of Intuit's revenue, of QuickBooks revenue. So probably continue to support it in some fashion for the time being. Obviously, they would like to move everyone online, but they're doing that very slowly. So it seems like every year someone's like, they're finally going to do it. They're going to turn it off. They're going to turn it off. But it
I
hasn't
think
happened
there's
yet.
got to be like, if there's 5 or 6 million people on it, they're just not going to go, oh, sorry about that. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. No, Intuit's like a massive, mature company. They're going to do that progressively. They're not going to turn it off.
So which do you use, both, or do you use QuickBooks Online? I'm curious which you use.
Our customers use both. About 40% of our customers use QBD. We have an integration with both.
So you can use QuickBooks Desktop, or you can go either one, which is good. Because I know a lot of people that have changed to, from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online, and they're upset because it doesn't do a bunch of stuff the desktop thing does. I know, I'm not an accountant, but I know they're pissed because they go, well, it does do this and doesn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, we actually have had a lot of our customers, once they start using Adaptive, then they can migrate from QBD to QBO. So we've helped a handful of them do that.
Mhm.
And QuickBooks is actually great for us because when you onboard to Adaptive, the way it works, you just sync your QuickBooks. And so there's no setup because we just pull in all your existing information, right? So like all your past expenses, all your past income, all your projects, everything just gets pulled into the system. So the setup's really easy. So we actually love working with QuickBooks.
So if you've got QuickBooks Desktop and everything's there, everything goes in, and that might help you move, because I know a lot of people are really struggling with that move because their bookkeeper or whoever's been used to using QuickBooks Desktop doesn't want to leave. They go, this works. I looked at online. It doesn't do this. It doesn't do this certain kind of job costing. It doesn't do this, doesn't do that. I can't do financials online because it just doesn't work for me. And we're trying to do with a bookkeeper they've had for 10 years and doesn't want to change.
Yeah. What about it?
So it's just interesting. I mean, I think if you can help with it, that's good, because a lot of people, I mean, I agree. QuickBooks, if they had their choice, they'd convert everybody tomorrow, but it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
Because they would rather not, they'd rather just get a monthly fee than the whole support all these desktop things. Right. That's a good thing. So I think I sort of understand it now. I'm already, it's sort of like you can give people real-time financials because you take, using AI, you take all the stuff that the project managers, the office managers, the owner had to figure out what goes to which job, what bill goes to which job, and they can't actually bill until they figure that out. They also can't know how they're doing on a job until they figure it out.
Yep.
And what you're saying is that AI, sort of like the friendly AI, will figure it out for them in real time so they can bill quicker, they can bill currently, and they actually know whether they're making or losing money on a job probably almost weekly, right?
Yes. Paul, you want to come work at Adaptive as the spokesman? There you go.
I'm just trying to understand this, man. I looked at your website and went, what the hell do these guys do?
Yeah. No, we're doing a website refresh now. So
because I no offense, your video, I was even confused more. So video goes, I go, I have no clue what these guys do. But now that I hear it from you, I go, this is really cool, because I've worked with contractors for 40 years and it's a huge issue. And QuickBooks hasn't solved it, and project management software haven't solved it, because they still got the guys, on Friday afternoon working until 5 or 6 o'clock at night trying to figure out where all the bills go, what's across the cost, and then nobody trusts the numbers because they weren't put in the right place.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, just to illustrate that point, I mean, you think about accounting firms, right, and how they view Adaptive. 30% of our business has actually come from accounting firms that specialize in construction, and then they make Adaptive part of their core tech stack for working.
And they probably upcharge for it and goes. I can see them going, oh, this is going to do our work, and we're going to save 20 hours at $300 an hour. This is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I understand what you do. It makes a lot of sense to me. So even if you have web-based software and you're using Builder, Trainer, Co-Construct, whatever, if you've got QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop, doesn't matter. If your project managers and the people on your team are spending time figuring out where the money is going before you can bill or know what your actual costs are, this is an ideal product for you, right?
100%. Yes. Give us a call. Give us a website visit, even though Paul doesn't like it.
How can I can help you out here. I mean, I had no clue. So how do they get a hold of you?
Go to adaptive.build. Yeah. Email
Don't
me.
watch the video. Just kidding.
Email me, Matt at adaptive.build. Yeah. We'll get you taken care of. Talk to the other builders in your market that are probably using us. You can use that too.
And I would say, talk to Matt because he makes a lot more sense than the video does. That'd be good. So I finally figured this out. Okay, so that's good. So I would suggest anybody whose financials aren't current, which is probably 95% of listening to this podcast, or your project managers are spending a bunch of time figuring out who to bill and what to bill, and you doing the same thing. I think we have an AI solution here, which could be amazing. So thanks, Matt. I really appreciate your time.
No, thanks for having me on. It was fun.